Ah, lovely picture of me. And it's talking. And wow, now it's turning into a fab animated 3D image. That virtual Quentin came from just a single digital image, a photo I took myself, which was then sent to Germany and processed by a unique computer program. The Smart software is the world's first to create 3D animated images from a single low-quality still, and the designer's never even met me. It's fun but has serious applications, such as enabling police to identify suspects from grainy CCTV images, or to reconstruct what a murder victim looked like. The programme draws on a database of images of thousands of people, analysing how they look and move. They've then crunched this data to figure out rules for how most people's looks and movements fit together. Clever, but haven't I just been made technologically obsolescent?
You're watching Discovery Science, where every minute we unfold something new and wonderful for you to know about the planet we live on, the bodies we inhabit, and the universe we are part of.
Does conventional medicine have all the answers to our health problems? Are there better ways to treat what ails us? Or could a universe of healing exist outside the boundaries of mainstream medicine? Next on The Critical Eye, alternative medicine. The power of touch, body energy, magnetism. Hello, I'm William B. Davis. In this hour of The Critical Eye, we'll look at alternative medicine. These treatments, some of which have been around for centuries, include homeopathy, gemstone therapy, and medical magnets. In our first segment, acupuncture, we'll explore an ancient method of using needles to control what is believed to be the energy of the body. But can acupuncture really make a medical difference? Or is it pointless? China, mother of the Orient. Here life chimes with beauty, faith, and tradition. For centuries, heritage and history have guided the people in matters of architecture, faith, and healthcare. For 2,000 years, Chinese physicians have integrated studies of the human body and the earth, searching for natural paths to better health. These studies led physicians to create a means of treating the whole body, an ancient method we know as acupuncture. It's the most highly regarded form of alternative care, which puzzles skeptics.
I can see how inserting a needle might, for example, produce endorphins, which are a natural, we produce our own opiates, and they will relieve discomfort, and they work very effectively. But you could probably do the same thing by stubbing your toe. What you've got is something that appears to work some of the time, although its successes are usually wildly exaggerated, and may be nothing more than relieving the anxiety of the person because you're doing something for them. But the physiology, all this other stuff that's laid on top of it, is pure mythology. There's nothing there that can be supported by modern science.
Acupuncture took form more than 2,000 years ago, when Chinese doctors needed to care for the emperor. A misdiagnosis could bring disaster for doctor as well as patient. So the emperor's physicians first tested treatments on human subjects.
What would happen is an emperor would get sick. Physicians would look at the emperor, see what's going on, and then confer with each other, go out, treat people who had similar problems with almost anything. If the patients died, it was no problem. I mean, it was the guinea pigs of today.
Following these field tests, ancient Chinese doctors compiled the results in what is called the Emperor's Classic Book of Medicine, one of the earliest medical textbooks. For 2,000 years, traditional Chinese medicine and the principles of acupuncture have remained largely the same. This troubles some.
All of these rituals of healing, all mistaken, all based on error, are just reinforced year after year, generation after generation, and that's how we got here. Age lends no legitimacy to anything, really. In the case of acupuncture, it was the same observation made, and mistaken one at that, over and over again over the centuries.
Debate between scientists and practitioners over acupuncture focuses on one element: the existence of natural energy in the body. Traditional Chinese medicine calls it qi.
Qi is what makes you different from a sack of chemicals. It's the essence of energy that runs through the body that makes it so that we continue to function.
In theory, qi travels along channels called meridians. Along these meridians are more than 350 acupoints. Each of these provides a spot at which acupuncturists can adjust a patient's qi. Flow of qi dictates the direction of treatment. Practitioners check the meridian lines for sick points or blockages. By inserting needles, they remove the blockages, freeing the qi and gradually restoring health.
When you have a blockage especially of qi, but also blood, then what can happen is that blockage creates pain or could create spasm. It's sort of like a river coming to a dam and is trying to push it through.
And supposedly by putting the needles in, you rebalance the flow of the qi, which is an energy that flows through these imaginary meridians. There's no nerve that goes from the receptor to the spinal cord. There is no nerve that is a relief nerve.
The needles may simply serve as a distraction.
You can only, in your mind, be aware of one major symptom at a time. The other ones are suppressed. That's the way the nervous system really works. So if you have a pain in your back or pain anywhere else and go in for an acupuncture treatment and start to get needles stuck in you, then your attention is diverted. It's a counter-irritant. And when you have one pain and get another pain or another itch or whatever it is that may override that first one, you pay attention to that second one instead of the first one.
Not all Western doctors dismiss acupuncture. Some are adding the method as a complement to their mainstream practices.
There are some areas in which acupuncture has a great deal to contribute. The most obvious one is in treating the nausea and vomiting of chemotherapy, where acupuncture certainly is becoming a frontline treatment. Acupuncture is also used a good deal for pain, both chronic pain and acute pain.
I'm a diabetic and have had all kinds of treatment for the nerve damage in my feet. And nothing that Western medicine had to offer ever helped me at all. They want to treat the pain with pain pills, painkillers, and when those did not work, that's where I drew the line.
For 10 years, diabetes racked James Reeves with pain. His condition grew so bad he could not walk. Then he tried acupuncture. Soon he was back on his feet.
On the 6th treatment, I left here noticing a tremendous difference. And it's the only thing that's ever helped me.
Once we've established that something is or might be useful, then the question comes up of what's the mechanism? We don't know the mechanism for many of the conventional medical treatments that we use. It doesn't stop us from using them.
Draped in history but short on science, this ancient method gets little respect from mainstream medicine, mainly because scientific trials are negative or inconclusive. Moreover, trials have been unable to distinguish acupuncture from random needle placement. Because of this, most hospitals don't offer the treatment. For now, acupuncture's medical effectiveness remains open to debate.
In and out 3 nose.
What it does is it takes up the old ancient wisdom myth. The idea that thousands of years ago, people knew all sorts of things we don't know today. They had secret energy sources, they had secret cures, and somehow modern science cannot do the same thing. It's kind of preposterous. I mean, when it comes to my health, that's where I want to talk to a doctor who read the medical journals yesterday. I want to know what's happening right now.
Acupuncture has kept its principles just the same as basic chemistry has kept its principles. Because that is a truth. The truth doesn't change with time. Medicine is and always will be an art. It's not a science.
If no acupuncturists were allowed in this country, how really bad off would we be? What would happen to people? Would they live any longer? No. Will they have any time taken off of their sick time? No. Will they be unable to find other ways of getting relief? No. People who weren't getting satisfaction from their whatever medical care they got would seek another doctor, seek another specialist, or do something else for oneself.
Acupuncture?
I'm not really too into getting needles stuck into me.
I love acupuncture.
I've had acupuncture once.
I think it's good. It works for me. I believe it's possible. Anything's possible.
Not that big of a believer in it.
Not used nearly as much as it should be.
Basically, if you believe in it, your power of the mind.
These days, many people are experimenting with magnets and crystals that they use for therapeutic purposes. Some advocates see these everyday items as alternatives to conventional pain medication. But is magnet and crystal therapy a genuine form of medical care? Is it an alternative? Magnets. They're everywhere. In your cell phone, in your computer, in your television set. Besides their use in everyday life, magnets have acquired a medical reputation for relieving pain. Promoters say magnets boost circulation, reduce swelling, and speed recovery. But do these claims stick?
Magnets move energy by affecting nerve flow in the body.
Physics shows us that static magnetic fields do not change. Scientists agree that given the strong physical forces that exist in blood vessels, anything generated by a static magnetic field on flowing blood is unlikely to have any effect. Ronald Lawrence, MD, has published books on the benefits of magnet therapy.
There's no contraindication to using magnets. So when people come to me, they come to me for pain problems. And one of the strong things that I've had to be able to use is magnet therapy. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
How are you today?
Better, thanks.
Oh, great.
To counteract pain, Dr. Lawrence places ceramic magnets at strategic points.
The energy generated by the magnet is somewhat similar to the energy generated by twisting the acupuncture needle. Magnets have a positive pole and a negative pole. The body is composed of negative and positive ions. And by putting a magnetic field near or into the body, you can influence the flow of these ions positively and negatively.
The theory holds that by adjusting our body's chemistry with magnets of alternating polarity, a balanced nervous system can be achieved while simultaneously boosting blood flow to the problem area. Ironically, alternating poles decrease a magnetic field's strength because the fields tend to cancel each other out as they extend from a magnet.
The argument that's usually made is that the magnetic field attracts blood because blood has iron in it. But the iron in blood is in the form of hemoglobin. And hemoglobin is not ferromagnetic. As a matter of fact, it's diamagnetic. A strong magnetic field would actually repel blood ever so slightly.
Magnets have appeared in medicine throughout history. Hippocrates, the father of medical ethics, was said to use magnets to treat sterility. Legend has it that the Egyptian ruler Cleopatra kept a magnet in her bed to defeat the aging process. Consumer groups say Americans spend $1.5 billion a year on medicinal magnets. Mainstream medicine has dismissed magnets as quackery. Advocates feel the medical establishment needs to pay attention to the results.
They won't listen to the millions upon millions of people who've used magnets, and all the pain clinics that have used magnets, and all the private physicians who've used magnets. It takes a really unique mind to dismiss all of that evidence as being unreal. It's very real.
Health guru Gary Null has been studying magnets for nearly 30 years.
There is no part of the body that is not magnetized. Anything that interferes in that magnetic polarity can interfere in the functioning of that organism. There's where the problem comes in. It's like traffic going at 60 miles an hour and suddenly there's rubbernecking or an accident, it slows down to 5 miles an hour. The magnet becomes the traffic cop to get it working again.
Scientists counter that magnets lack the muscle to accomplish these feats.
If I look at a refrigerator magnet, just a typical refrigerator magnet with my plumber's phone number on it, you see it go positive and then negative. So this is made up of strip after strip, a parallel alternating north and south poles. Now the therapy magnet, which costs 200 times as much as the refrigerator magnet, it's a little stronger, but it's the same thing. If I do the same experiment, but instead of putting the magnetometer right on the surface of the magnet, I put this strip of velvet between it. Now when I run across it, the deflection is much, much, much smaller. The magnetic field would not even penetrate through your skin, much less to the bones and joints that are bothering you.
As further evidence, Dr. Park invokes the frequent use of magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI.
The field of the magnetic resonance imaging device is about 200 times greater than for the strongest therapy magnets that are sold. And as far as I know, no one has ever been cured by an MRI magnet. And this is a magnet that has a very long range. So you're actually inside the magnet. And so it penetrates your entire body. And yet, there are virtually no physiological effects.
Some doctors assert magnet therapy isn't a quick fix, but a long-term process.
The magnet works by time. It takes time. It generally takes anywhere from a few weeks to several months for the magnets to really show the benefit.
Members of one high-profile group speak out often on the power of medical magnets. Who are these true believers? Professional athletes.
All professional golf players, PGA players, wear magnets. We find that baseball players are using it tremendously. Practically every football player has a magnet of some type. So in sports, magnets have been widely accepted. I would say that that's the area of greatest acceptance.
As a veteran marathoner, Gary Null endorses magnets based on his own experience.
2 weeks ago, I completed and was a gold winner in the USA Track and Field Eastern Regional Championship. I use magnets on my legs the night after the race. The next day, it's as if I hadn't even done a race. Now, unlike a lot of critics and cynics, I talk from experience.
It's easy to fool ourselves. Many of the things that we may feel better are just because of the passage of time. Nature is finally getting around to doing its job and using the healing mechanisms that it has naturally as part of our physiology.
Like magnets, gemstones have attraction. For centuries, crystals and refined gems have served to enhance beauty and display wealth. Now therapists are using gems and crystals to relieve pain.
And what it will do is help you. Gemstones can be used in two different ways primarily. One way is to wear them as a necklace around the neck, in which case they radiate their energy just the way the sun does. The second way to work with the gemstones is to perform treatments on localized areas of the body.
Pauline Crouch is a Gemisphere energy practitioner. As in acupuncture, her treatments place gemstones at particular points in the body to direct its energy.
When you use gemstone spheres, you access all the inner levels of the person's being more efficiently than you do with needles. The acupuncture points are connected to the emotional level, the patterns or memory level of the person, the mental level, and the spiritual levels. And the gemstone spheres will access all of those levels at the same time.
Each stone is chosen for a specific condition. In theory, the gem radiates energy into the body, allowing it to better treat itself. For some, this rationale is less than crystal clear.
When it comes to gem therapy, the misinterpretation is that some kind of energy comes out of the gem or the crystal. It doesn't. For any energy to come out of the crystal and go somewhere else, the crystal would have to deteriorate and break down. So from a physical and a chemical standpoint, any first-year college chemistry student would know that no energy can come out of there.
As gemstone and magnet therapy gain popularity, the debate continues. Critics say the theory misleads patients, but advocates call this form of therapy safe and useful.
These magnets are very good. Over 250,000 people die a year from the drugs they're taking. No one is going to be killed by using a magnet. The prime reason for the practice in medicine is to help people to be more comfortable and free of pain. And if that accomplishes it with something like magnet therapy, hey, more power.
And the harm comes from misdiagnosis. Harm comes from a society that wants to make its mind up on mythology rather than on rationality. So gem therapy, along with all the other alternatives in medicine kinds of therapies, are socially detrimental. They get you nowhere.
Magnet therapy and crystal therapy.
Yeah, magnets and crystals, they do ease pain.
I think it does actually work because it's an earth element.
They're more primarily psychological. I kind of think it's more spiritual.
I'm not really sure how does that work.
If you have something wrong in your life, you have to change your diet, your lifestyle.
For 2 centuries, homeopathic practitioners have used special formulations to trigger the body's healing reflexes, administering dilutions of herbs and even toxins as treatments. But is homeopathy a medical solution? Or only a solution? In the growing market for medical alternatives, homeopathy stands tall, supported by 2 centuries of experience. Many patients still embrace its methods. Prepared according to a library of formulas, homeopathic remedies number in the thousands, each with its unique role in healing the body. Homeopaths apply these mixtures to ease discomfort naturally.
Homeopathy gets in there and cleans the system up, gets rid of the pollution, gets rid of the emotional, mental blocks, physical blocks, and allows it to come back into its natural, healthy, homeostatic state.
Dr. Keith Diorio works as a homeopath in Los Angeles, California.
How are you doing?
Also a certified medical doctor, Diorio melds conventional and alternative medicine in his practice.
I believe that homeopathy can work synergistically in an integrative fashion with Western medicine. They really need to be combined to really achieve a level of medicine that's beyond each one individually.
Most of the things that afflict us, we're going to get better. And what homeopathy does is give you a chance to get better without interfering with the body at all. You're not doing anything, but you think you are.
The father of modern homeopathy was a German physician, Samuel Hahnemann. Seeking a cure for malaria, Hahnemann discovered that a toxin, quinine, created similar symptoms. This observation led to a remarkable idea.
He had the brilliance, the genius of thinking that possibly we could give the medicine in a smaller dose and somehow not bring on the toxic side effects of quinine, but rather just simply its medicinal effect. So it's kind of like the concept of fight fire with fire.
Hahnemann called his new method similar similarium curander, Latin for like cures like.
Like cures like means that a certain set of medicines can induce a specific set of symptoms. It kind of counterbalances and creates a stimulation of the immune system to counter exactly, specifically, the same set of symptoms that the person is experiencing.
Studying a wide variety of compounds, Hahnemann devised formulas that diluted toxins with water, the birth of homeopathy.
But when he tried to give it to his patients, he found that there were side effects, sometimes serious side effects. And so how would he relieve the side effects? Well, he decided to dilute the substance. And lo and behold, he found that the more he diluted the medicine, the more quickly people got well. The question is, how much do you dilute it? And he found that there just didn't seem to be a limit.
So basically you had elevation of your ANA count for over a year and a half from the first time that they actually tested for lupus. You've made some very good improvement then over the course of the last 6 months. I guess most of your symptoms, 95% of your symptoms are now gone?
They're now gone, yes. Okay. The pain is gone. I'm sleeping great. That's been good.
Now we're going to try to really solidify your health restoration now and get your body functioning even better than it was before you actually came down with lupus. And so this series of homeopathic remedies here.
The dilution method follows precise rules. The practitioner mixes a pure liquid form of toxin or herb with water, 1 part to 9. Then bangs the container to make sure they blend. Homeopaths call this step succussion. This process repeats again and again until only the essence of the original substance remains.
Well, if you do it 1 time, you've got 1 part in 10. 2 times, you've got 1 part in 100. 3, you've got 1 part in 1,000. By the time you get to 6, you've got 1 part in 1,000,000. There's nothing there.
Scientists argue that if the theory of Avogadro's number holds, A dilution to that point means only one molecule of the original substance remains. If this is true, then a commonly sold homeopathic drug with a dilution of 30C would have one molecule of the original substance dissolved in a minimum of this many molecules of water. That would require a container more than 30 billion times the size of the Earth.
So we've exceeded the dilution limit. The dilution limit comes when you've only got one molecule left of the substance, and I dilute it again. One molecule. You can give me one molecule of anything you want, and it won't harm me.
Homeopathic practitioners say the chemical compound transfers to the water, retaining a memory of the compound conveyed during succussion.
Every single time they hit that, that's kinetic energy. Something is happening. And that kinetic energy moves through that solution very powerfully. And so what's happening is that this water alcohol solution is recording the information that's being transferred to it. It's like I'm throwing a pebble into a lake. And the rip that comes out from that pebble, that vibrational movement moving outward. Same thing happens with homeopathic remedies.
There's not a shred of scientific evidence that water, in essence, retains a memory of what was once in it, nor is there any evidence that giving someone an extremely dilute solution of something harmful can have any beneficial effect whatsoever. But if the patient believes, and if the practitioner believes, then it is possible that the patient will feel better after having been treated with a homeopathic solution.
Emmy-winning actress Holland Taylor embraced homeopathic care when she noticed age gaining on her.
Frankly, I was just getting older. I just felt a diminishment of energy, and sort of things, you sort of become aware of things start breaking down. Your tone starts just breaking down automatically through aging, and this was a very big surprise.
Her schedule made it hard for Taylor to stay in shape. When conventional medicine couldn't help, she saw Keith Diorio. He prescribed a homeopathic regimen.
I use his treatments according to need. I don't just sort of automatically go every so often to be treated by him. And where I see it taking me is whenever I have a period where I'm not working, I try to reintroduce all the disciplines that he advises me I should be doing all the time, so that I can get into a regime to support my health. I'm used to feeling well now. I'm used to feeling well all the time. I wake up feeling well, and I certainly didn't used to.
Illnesses have ebbs and flows every day. Every day you feel either worse or better, or even cancer patients will have good days. And the people who claim that homeopathy is what helped their condition just happened to go from one therapist to the next therapist to the next therapist until they came to homeopathy. And homeopathy happened to be prescribed at a time when they were feeling better. So they get the credit. What we refer to as a placebo effect is just the ebb and flow of all illnesses.
Dr. Keith Diorio says skeptics looking at homeopathy are missing the big picture.
Many physicians and scientists are unable to embrace homeopathy as a healing system because of their indoctrination in traditional scientific principles. Homeopathy is not as quantifiable. This is more virtual medicine.
In an effort to please the patients, more and more practitioners of more and more medical doctors are administering therapies, recommending therapies that are designed to make the patients happy as opposed to giving them what they really need.
Now, every field of medicine that I rely on changes all the time, and that's the good news. Medicine changes, and it's getting better all the time. Homeopathy doesn't change.
I absolutely believe that homeopathy has an effect, a felicitous effect on my well-being. I'm just convinced by the general theory of making the body strong so that it can do the miraculous work of healing and protection that it's already designed to do, and infusing at the cellular level the body with what it needs.
Medication itself is totally harmless. It's not medication at all. It's the non-medicine medicine.
Homeopathy.
I've heard of it.
This is not real prominent down south, that type of thing.
Homeopathy has its benefits.
I would go with more traditional methods.
We go to the doctor and get our pill.
It can do a lot more than Western medicine can.
I don't really think I've had much experience with homeopathy.
Warmth is flowing into my hands. They are warm.
The power of touch. From the Bible to Shakespeare, literature describes how a touch of the hand can resurrect a body or restore a lost soul. Many cultures embrace touch as a way to bring a sense of well-being. Now touch has entered the medical realm as a method for promoting health and healing. The technique is called therapeutic touch.
The origins of therapeutic touch really are the ancient practice of laying on of hands, where an individual was known to be able to help or heal another by placing their hands upon the person.
Dr. Mary Ann Borelli was one of the first touch therapists in the U.S.
Therapeutic touch itself is a little different because we don't necessarily make contact, physical contact. Generally work right above the body's surface.
Where I slowed down.
It's an irony that in therapeutic touch, there's no actual touching. Therapists position their hands inches from patients' bodies as they feel for energy anomalies.
The evidence for that is zilch. A young 9-year-old girl named Emily Rosa actually decided to put this to the test for a grade school science project, and did, and eventually it got published in the Journal of the American Medical Association as a true scientific paper, and determined that the touch therapists who really believed that they could sense this energy field, when put to a double-blind test, actually could not.
What you're looking for is any changes in energy from one side to the other. The body should be bilaterally symmetrical. And you're looking for any areas with your hands you can experience a change in heat, cold, tingling, sensation of numbness sometimes.
Now what I found in the process of this assessment is there's some tingling up in here. And so I'm putting heat in by keeping my hands over in place, and then I brush it away. And relaxation seems to be taking place. You watch the person's body as you're treating. So
if you are able to relax and receive the loving input, the intentional input of healing from someone doing therapeutic touch, then very often it puts the body in a state where it is able to heal much more easily.
If I tell you that I'm going to do something that will relax you, I'm conditioning you to already accept that state of relaxation. And so you're a willing accomplice in the scheme.
I'm not even going to touch you.
Critics often invoke Dolores Krieger, the nurse who founded the therapeutic touch movement.
Just the differences, things, little cues. Let me see if I can show you.
They say Krieger pushed the philosophy to nursing schools to dodge the laws of science, triggering a wave of energy-based care.
Once you accept the human energy field as science, then everything else goes along with it. Acupuncture is based on an energy field. Crystal healing is based on energy field. So if Krieger could have succeeded in scientifically legitimizing in the public's eye therapeutic touch, then all these other practices would have come along with it.
Mary Ann Borelli studied the discipline with Krieger. She says touch can exert a genuine physiological impact. Borelli claims therapeutic touch practitioners stimulate measurable responses in patients' bodies.
Very often the area that you're working on becomes flushed. The blood vessels dilate. There's more heat to the area. The person's blood pressure decreases, their pulse rate and their respiratory rate decreases.
Practitioners point to successful care of infants.
Therapeutic touch has been used with these very, very tiny babies in neonatal intensive care units who have very serious respiratory problems. And what it has been found to do is to ease their respiratory difficulties.
I would put that in the category of anecdotal evidence. There's so many problems with that. There's selection bias. They were already knowledgeable in some way whether these babies respond to any kind of interaction. We don't know the background. The claim of pain reduction and anxiety reduction is not in itself evidence of therapeutic touch, because those states can be achieved in other means. In order for therapeutic touch to be a legitimate, separate form of therapy, the human energy field must be shown to exist.
We are energy fields. In essence, we do not stop at our skin. We transmit our energy. This is not magic. No, it's not faith healing. What it is doing is allowing the body to work better in its own healing.
The human touch has long been associated with love and affection. Now, the experience of touching and being touched somehow has evolved into an increasingly popular health remedy. Therapeutic touch and Japanese Reiki claim to use hand gestures to manipulate and transform a patient's energy fields. Can touch solve physical problems? Can the human touch heal? Or does this therapy lack scientific sense?
Once we're prepared, we place our hands in the first position.
One form of healing touch has a hands-on approach.
With the patient or the client.
A spiritually based practice known as Reiki. A Japanese tradition, Reiki lets practitioners touch patients while channeling energy from a higher source.
When we lay our hands on someone, we're doing what we see as channeling the universal healing energy, which flows through our body and out our hands.
Reiki master Marv Whitbeck has spent years developing his technique. He and student Kit Haggard, a nurse practitioner, apply the method to tune their bodies to the universal life force.
In modern medicine, we're incorporating Reiki as a relaxation technique, and in the simplest form, it is a deeply relaxing experience. And we do know that when we're relaxed, that it's very positive for us in general. So from that, you can extrapolate its healing.
Simply translated, Reiki combines two terms, Rei, meaning spiritual guide, and Ki, or Chi, the body's own energy. Adherents say Reiki brings a spiritually guided life force. Reiki practitioners search for vortexes in energy flow. The body needs treatment at these points. But the healing energy flows both ways.
Just moving your hand over different areas of their body, and you may get a sensation of maybe a difference in temperature. You might get a pulling sensation. And sometimes just placing my hand on their shoulder in the course of the procedure has been enough to calm them down and help them over a rough spot.
Some scientists see Reiki as just another form of alternative medicine based on relaxation techniques.
There's been a transfer of what's called kinetic energy. But other than that, there is no energy that's transferred. Nothing's ever been measured. The proponents have never come up with any theory or any measurement of any kind to show that there's anything more to it.
One Reiki proponent has taken the healing practice in another direction. Faith Sisk says she's had remarkable results using Reiki on animals.
I'm an animal person from way back. I wanted to be a veterinarian as a child. So it was really rather natural for me to get into Reiki with animals. This is Wilder now, a 12-year-old thoroughbred, just off the racetrack. And he came off the racetrack because of this knee. He is still racing fit, his muscles are in good shape, but this fluid has not gone down and he's probably a little uncomfortable. With this kind of condition, you would want to do a Reiki treatment every day for at least 4 days. The idea being that you're just helping the horse's body to heal.
When people observe some effect in an animal, what they're really seeing is something called the still response. That's a reflex that's built in, and people may misinterpret that. And the human side, when a human does that sort of thing, it's called hypnosis.
Touch therapy advocates stand firm. They hope their skill will be absorbed into modern medicine.
I think Reiki can enhance anything that modern medicine can do. I think an individual is more receptive to treatment if they believe in it and they're relaxed. The positive energy that Reiki contributes to a situation is only going to enhance the whole picture of healing.
In all these alternative energy field treatments, the key word that is constantly used is healing, not curing. None of these people ever cure. That's why it's difficult for skeptics to tackle the claim shifts when you try and nail it down. If you claim it's science, prove it's science. We have certain ways of demonstrating science. You prove it.
I've never heard of therapeutic touch.
I got certified in college to be a Reiki practitioner.
I'm not sure that has great value.
Healing touch is very important.
I'm kind of skeptical as to how well it works.
It's a natural treatment.
You know, if it works for somebody, that's fine.
For some people, touch does seem to be therapeutic. Perhaps simple belief can have a real healing effect. Stuff being a skeptic. Placebos don't work for us. But if you believe, you might enjoy benefits from therapeutic touch, acupuncture, homeopathy, or gemstone and magnet therapy, in which the essential element would seem to be faith.